Good afternoon, everyone. One and all, worldwide. We are speaking to you live on Tinternet. Excuse my cough. Welcome to episode 12 of The Focus. Excuse the shirt. I'm wearing this just to make sure that I don't get run over today.
It's a lovely, nice red shirt.
My very, very special guest today is Mark Hopkins. And in case you can't tell from the sign behind him, his company is Thomas Lee Recruitment. If we're pointing to logos, then I should do that.
You do yours.
Very, very welcome, Mark. You were highly recommended last week by last week's guest. I should just recap for the purposes of anyone who mistakenly didn't watch last week's show. Last week's guest was the very lovely Katrina Collier. I saw Katrina yesterday. We were both speaking at an event, the firm event in Manchester, and it went down a storm. Katrina is a great speaker, and yesterday she was walking amongst the crowd, a bit like Jesus amongst the disciples, and she literally had the crowd in the palm of her hand. So she did really well.
Awesome.
And I like to think that they were warmed up somehow by watching the show last week. Definitely, some of the people in the audience had watched the show and thought, you know, that Katrina Collier is bloody brilliant. So the show last week with Katrina, we spoke about using video, recruiters using video to prove that they're not a robot. You know, the ways in which a recruiter can prove their value and prove their excellence by using video, by engaging with candidates, and not be replaced by automated processes. Show the stuff between their ears and the stuff that they can say and speak and communicate is where their value is, their knowledge, their experience, and all of those things. And obviously, we referred very, very briefly. We referred to Katrina's book. You've got Katrina's book, don't you?
Yeah, it's right here. She sent me a copy because I'm in it. Here it is. I absolutely love it.
Excellent. It's a very well written book. So Mark, highly recommended by Katrina last week. We have spoken before about is it the Recruiter's Arms?
We spoke. Oh, we've done loads of stuff. We did one where we were talking about internal and external with yourself and Louise, and I think we talked about the Recruiter's Arms as well, which is still there, still doing some good stuff. But it's not as big as it was, basically, because it takes a lot of time and energy.
The Recruiter's Arms, if they're not as big as they were, it's because they've not been down the gym. That's what it'll be.
It's mostly people drinking. No, it's not.
You don't use it, you lose it. Yes. So we've known each other for quite a while, and our hopes are high because when Katrina says you have to get Mark on. Then there's a build-up, so you got to be good. And I can see that you've in preparation for the show today, you've grown a beard.
Yeah, I grew it just last night. It's actually a fake one. I'm just going to no, it's a real beard.
It's excellent. It's a quality beard.
I know yours is coming on fine though since last week when we spoke. It's doing well.
It's all right. No, do you know? So I'm now about 3.5 weeks in. And I've not in all the shows I've not mentioned this once, and I'm thinking, has anyone noticed? So you've given the game away now.
It's ready for Christmas, isn't it? That's what you're doing now.
Well, that's that. See that in the red shirt. I'm auditioning for a Christmas job. That's the idea with the white beard.
So you got the red shirt, and then next week then it'll be just the band of the hat, the white band. And then the week after, it'll be
better time. So I've ordered the reindeer. So we digress as we always do, but we're here with a purpose. And the purpose of today's show, the focus of today's show, I should say, on the focus, is talking about how large companies have content marketing strategies, and we often think, well, small companies can't do that because they don't have the resources, they don't have the time, they don't have the ability to do that sort of thing. That surely is that's in the domain of companies with steering committees and marketing experts and lots of money to spend. And you're here to tell us that actually, not only can it be done, but
on a very small budget,
and you don't need to have crazy money to do that. So for context, just to give a bit of background, so that the audience know exactly where you're coming from. you're quite a similar to recruiter to I was in the manufacturing and engineering sector.
That's right.
Yep.
So the vast majority of what I do is in the SME manufacturing engineering world. So anything from I try to keep it skilled, so CNC all the way up to director level, basically. So anything in between, and the breadth of it is automotive, aviation, materials handling. My background's aviation. I used to be an aircraft engineer myself. Did an apprenticeship with the Air Force. Did a degree straight after for my sins, and then fell into recruitment from that, and then been in the game for 14 years. So it's been around.
Have you ever met anyone who got into recruitment on purpose? You know,
I do you know what? I'm starting to hear people wanting to get into recruitment because they think the earning potential is there. But yeah, you're right. I think 10, 15 years ago, everyone just walked up to a recruitment agency and suddenly got offered a job.
I blame The Apprentice, because on The Apprentice, there's always they start out with 12 people. At least 3 of them are recruiters, and often they seem like slippery characters as well. But the recruiters tend to do well in The Apprentice. Now, whether you think that's a good or a bad thing, I think that recruiters get onto The Apprentice and do well because their whole job is about thinking on their feet and trying to make the most of what you've got. But on account of The Apprentice, people, kids, teenagers, when they watch that sort of show and they think, what would be a job option? What would be a job that I could do and aspire to? And recruiter is now on the sort of on the radar.
It's on the radar. I think also a lot of recruiters, they're very good at projecting themselves to other people, to engage people, to come and speak to them and be open and honest.
Yeah.
And I think that's a talent in its own right that people have. So when they're on TV, they look engaging. They look like real people as well that you can have a chat on the pub with or something.
Yeah. Now mentioning recruiters on TV and The Apprentice and so on, and it being a job that people now recognise. Well, that's a job like any other. But it does mean that recruiters are on. They're on video. They're being seen. They're more visible than before, and that should mean that when people like you are recording video content, then they have a basic understanding before they go further into the video content.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. That's right.
Sorry, carry on.
I was going to say no, that's right. So when you kind of if you put yourself out there enough, you start having a face to the name. Whereas before, recruiters weren't really seen. They were really heard that much on social media as well. We kept quite quiet for a period of time.
Yeah. Now I have to ask before we go on. This is your company, Thomas Lee Recruitment.
Yes, that's correct.
Where is Mr. Lee?
So, say again?
Where is Mr. Lee?
So Thomas is my son. Thomas,
okay.
And Lee is my wife, and it's spelled L-E-E as well. So,
very good. Very good. So a cunning ploy. Part of the Thomas Lee Recruitment Group.
Yeah, soon to be the group. Yeah, when I start making massive. No, I don't know. Yeah, it's getting there. It's getting there. The reason I did it was just to remind me why I'm doing it. That's why I do it.
Do you know that's the best reason? I used to have a problem with people who named recruitment companies after themselves. They sounded like a firm of solicitors, and I always swore blind that I would never do anything like that. But then I started a recruitment company called Source, and only after about 6 months I realised, oh, hold on a second, Stephen O'Donnell's Ultimate Recruitment Company Experience. Oh, I've gone and done it. I've gone and named the company after me, and without realising.
It's good because I've seen some people, they name their company their name, and then when it comes to maybe taking it to the next level, maybe moving it or selling it or growing it, I think it limits you then. Not so much for James Reed, I guess, but definitely for us mere mortals.
So we're talking around in circles a bit here, but what we're getting to is content marketing. And all of this stuff is all content that can be part of content marketing when used cleverly. So how do you define what content marketing is from your perspective, and how do you use it? So
how I define it, it's everything that's positive that you can say about yourself, about your business, about what you do, but also it's got to be not just engaging. It's got to be educational as well. So it's got to be able to inform people something. It doesn't matter what that thing is, just inform something. And it's got to. I think it's got to not have any conditions to it. So as long as it's engaging, you will have people come back, and I guess that's the condition. But as long as you don't have any conditions, like click here to find out more and stuff like that, people are more engaged with that content.
That way of doing things, where you're holding information ransom. You say, right, will you give me your email address, for example, and we'll give you more information? Is that not something that you're a fan of?
No, I think it's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah. So if you've got content to share it freely.
Share it, and that's where you then get the audience. And then if you want to talk about click funnels and all that type of stuff, you can create a virtual funnel from people becoming, I hate to use the word followers. I think that's probably the faux word to use today. They're not followers. They're just audience members that enjoy watching what you're doing. And if they want to go further, they'll message you. They'll have a chat with you.
People who are interested, let's say. So getting people's interest today is all well and good, but getting them to come back, be interested enough to come back tomorrow and the day after or the week after, so that you're then building what you could describe as an audience. That's in content marketing terms, you're trying to make content that makes that audience, and you then have people that you can get your message out to.
That's it. Those people that do the kind of like, here's information, but you've got to click here. That one video dies then. That's it. And they can't really do much after that, because everyone's kind of cotton on to the fact you're trying to pass me this information on, but you want my information first. I don't want to give you my information. It's called zero moment of truth. Google created this concept that people are now looking to buy things through research, watching videos, looking at reviews. They don't go into a shop and buy. And that method where you've got to click to hear more, you're selling to me. I don't want to be sold to until I'm ready. And that's what I feel it's about.
So I have I'm not sure I would call it a theory, but I know that a lot of people, they don't like to be sold to. They want it to be their idea, that they want to purchase something.
That's it.
And they come around to it of their own volition. But of course, if you see on adverts everywhere you go, adverts for Kellogg's cornflakes, and then at the end of the week, you suddenly have a craving for Kellogg's cornflakes, you have been sold to, just not overtly, and you think it's your idea when you're in the supermarket. But
I'm not going to give away this, but I am. When people think of an engineering recruiter, they think of me, because of what I've been trying to do. Putting out there my information, and that's the idea behind it. That's the investment of my time is for that. That zero moment of truth.
When you share information that otherwise people might think, well, why are you sharing that? That's the good stuff. When you share information, are you in a way exchanging that for goodwill that you can hopefully cash in later on?
Pay forward. That's how I look at it. And it's, been doing video now been in business for 4 years, and I've been doing video for about 2.5 of those 4 years. Maybe 3 years of that, actually, of those 4 years. And at the beginning, I was getting nothing, no traction from it. And then about 1.5 years into it, it was starting to pay off. People were coming to me, and I'll never forget, I went down to London to do Antonio talks with Antonio, I've forgotten his surname, who does the Recruited software. And I walked into a pub afterwards, and these 3 guys said, "Oh my God, you're the guy that does video on LinkedIn." and you kind of just suddenly knew that what you were doing was starting to make sense. And that's kind of that paying it forward. People starting to recognize you, starting to get your name to fit that. And the reason I do it is because no one does it in my sector. Is your sector really that quiet for people sharing that kind of content? As far as I'm concerned, yeah, it is. You look at like Mark Gattis, for instance. He's in the marketing sector. I would probably say he's probably the only one that does it in his sector. There's a few people there's a couple of people in the marketing sector. There's a few people in the rec-to-rec sector doing it as well. But in my sector, I don't come across that many. I could be wrong. I'm sure John Rose will correct me. but there isn't many. And in accountancy and finance, pharmaceutical is my mate James. He does touch upon it a few times in a few videos, but there isn't many. There isn't many.
So before we go on, can I just remind anyone watching who wants to chip in on the side, please, any questions at all?
Yeah.
Fire them in. Would love to cover them. So when thinking about a strategy, a content marketing strategy, you want to get to B, you're at A. How do you plan it out? Are you taking people on a journey?
Yeah, well, so back at the start, what I used to do was a candidate will ask me a random question, and then I write that down on Google Keep. And then whenever I wanted to make a video, I'll go straight to this list of videos that I was going to make, and then I would make that video.
Yeah.
Then it evolved over time to I'm actually sitting at the start of the month strategizing what videos I need to do that month, or what I need to do in content marketing. So not just videos, but other content, a couple of news stories, maybe a blog or two.
Yeah.
And then I was plan that kind of strategy.
Yeah.
I'm in the middle at the moment. I'm planning quite a fairly meaty one. Where it's going to be a journey for the next couple of weeks I'm going to do. But also another part of the strategy I'm doing at the moment is taking the old stuff and regurgitating it, chopping up, making it look a bit more modern, and then resending it back out, basically.
Do you have, in the same way as, modern marketeers and people writing novels even, do you have a story arc where you're looking to take people and you'll maybe have callbacks to things that you previously mentioned, and you're doing it in a planned, strategic way?
That's what's happening now. So these last the one thing about that, it takes a long time to do, by the way, I just realized. But that's what's happening now. Whereas before it was, I'm not going to use the word ad hoc, it was planned, but it was planned around what I had already done that month or that week. To continue that theme of what I was going to talk about. So one week I talk about interviews, and then the next week I talk about interview psychology, believe it or not. So there was a tiny little arc, but the next couple of months there's going to be quite a centered arc. So
most of the content that you share is content it's addressing candidates. It's information for candidates. You're sharing insight to the world of recruitment that they might not be fully informed on, and you're sharing your experience. Do you do any content that's for potential clients?
Yeah, there's a few bits out there. Some people, you guys won't get to see all of it because it's hidden away in YouTube and it's in the private channel. And that's then mailed out to, I got about 4,000, maybe 5,000 companies, and it's weekly. It's got a fantastic open and click-through rate as well, which is really interesting. The ones they absolutely love, which is out there, by the way, and that's why I put it out there, is preparing for interviews, doing interviews, and what to do after an interview. That video is out there at the moment.
For interviewers,
for interviewers to do. So how to prep for an interview, because we're dealing with SME engineering companies here who probably haven't had any official training on how to interview a candidate. So it's going through kind of a process, step by step, on what they should do to engage. There's also a 10-tip video that I did about a year ago as well for them, which goes through everything from retained terms of business all the way through to other things, which I'm remodeling at the moment and re-releasing.
I do really, and actually, now you mention it, I do really like the idea of having a more enclosed channel, not necessarily public, but channel where you're sharing real consultancy, information to employers about, for example, how candidates are perceiving them, how they would approach the interview process, and how employers can respond to that, how they can prepare for interviews, how they can compare one candidate with another in real terms, in terms of their actual skills and value to the organization. Because as you say, employers are often, people are promoted to be hiring managers who are not skilled in assessing potential hires, and that should be where recruiters come in and can share real skill.
This is it, and what a great way of delivering that, rather than sitting in front of them and dictate to them, but just produce a little bit of video with a little bit of entertainment in there if you have to. Just make it engaging that they will listen. But they're not just listening to what you're saying; they're looking at you and they're assessing you at the same time. And are they going to invite you in? and from a good few videos that I have been invited in to discuss recruitment.
Yeah, so when you show your expertise, you're showing that you know what you're talking about, and you show that you've got something that can help them do their job and meet their targets.
This is it.
And so you've almost certainly been in the same situation as me. Sometimes I find myself in conversations with employers about the difficulty of hiring a particular role, and I'll share my experience, my knowledge, and I might go off on one for 5 or 10 minutes. And then reflect back on what I said and go, do you know, that was bloody good. I wish I'd recorded that.
Yeah.
But if you've got those nuggets that are specifically targeted to their sector, then those are gems. And if it's recorded, then they can watch it, they can share it, they can watch it again. That's it. What
I sometimes do, if I got an idea and I'm walking down the street or I'm in the car, I record it. How I want it to sound, then I'll play it back and try to film it the way I kind of wanted it to film as well. So even if you're walking down the street, film yourself saying and talking about something. It doesn't have to be the thing you send out live. You can tart it up and make it look better for another day.
We were talking about the start about how content marketing strategies. It sounds fancy and it sounds the sort of thing that big companies would do. How is it possible that you can do all this yourself and get content that would compete with any large departments in big companies in terms of the volume of output, the quality that you do, and the variety of content that you make?
So you've got to really be quite savvy about your time. First of all, you've got to really have some good time management. I spend about a couple of hours at the start of the week to fill up my content buffer, basically of stuff. Things like buffer, like Hootsuite, if you want to pay for that. But also I use a lot of Zapiers as well. If you ever come across Zapiers, which is great for just basically programming a stream of information that goes out certain times or when something gets updated, and you can do it in any shape or form. Then also, so basically what you've created there is a marketing department doing all your social media for you. And you've done it in a couple of hours, and it costs, I think I pay about 15 quid a month for buffer, and Zapier is about 6-7 quid as well on top of that. And you just automate the process, and that's the important part there. So all your content that you've got on your YouTube channel, on your website, you automate that and get it out. Then you've got to feed that. So then you've got to spend about an hour probably of your time doing a couple of videos. I try to do them all at once and then save them in different folders and then go at them. So I don't film a video every week. I film 4 or 5 of them for the month right at the beginning, and then go into that folder and then break them down and edit them when I need them.
So you've got the raw footage recorded in a blog.
That's right. Raw footage recorded, not so much in the blog. So I'll do a video or do a couple of takes on one, delete or try to put them to one side for an outtake video. That's a different story. But then I'll take that raw footage, put it in a folder, name it what I want it to be named, and then take that footage at the end of the week and turn it into a video ready for the next week to be posted. So
on the technical side of things, what do you use to record?
Right. So I used that to record.
Does that look like an Android phone to me?
It is. It's a Samsung S8 Plus. I'm upgrading to the 10 soon, which is going to be fun. But importantly, when you record on any mobile phone is stability. So I use a tripod to put it on. And also, as you can tell, I'm quite lit up. So I've got quite a lot of lighting. I've got a massive bulb above my head. That's why it's so lit up behind me. And I've got a big bulb in front of me at the moment. You don't have to buy specialist lighting, but you know yourself, don't you? So you can buy some really good LED lighting for next to nothing.
I had for a while. I had those tripods with a big light box on them.
Yeah, I know the ones. Yeah,
and they were great. And I got 2 of them, and they were big, and the light off them was amazing. But they took up loads of space, and when people are especially working from home, then every square inch in your home office is a hostage. You need that space. So whilst I've got a nice big room here, there's other people who have desks in here as well. But what I've got here is some LED lights to that sort of thing. And in fact, what's lighting the wall behind me is like a big LED work lamp. I'll just.
You see that? Yes, that's it. That's it.
That is it.
They're great lights. They're great lights. You don't need as many. You just need one, maybe two in front of you.
Yeah. Well, if I turn off this light here, you can see the difference. Look at that. So put that on. All of a sudden,
this is it. Same with mine as well. If you can just turn mine off straight away.
Yeah. So the difference between professional and amateur can come right down to the lighting and your audio. So you're recording mostly on your phone. You're not recording on your webcam.
No, I find the quality on this, because it's a decent laptop. I think it's a HD cam on there as well, but it's 720. I think it is. I record in 4K, and then it's mostly for quality when you put it out on LinkedIn. So it's really good quality 720 on HD or something like that, because I also put the aspect ratio lines on mine as well to make it a little bit more cinematic.
So it looks quite filmic, as if you're watching,
a documentary or a movie or something. That's why I do it. And again, that's the reason I do that, is to stand out from everyone else that's doing the shaky camera, wrong aspect ratio, which should be that aspect ratio, not that one. And then I like to put effort in it. So if I show I'm putting effort into it, then hopefully people can see that I put effort into everything else I do.
So we've had a lot of talk about the videos that you're making. I'm going to share my screen and have a look at your YouTube channel, if that's all right. Let me just.
Yeah, of course.
I'm just going to get it here. Here we go. So I'm just going to share this screen. Here we go. Now this is a moment of truth. We've got
scary moment.
Your work overall these months on screen. So can you see my screen right now?
Yeah, I can see it.
Okay, perfect. So what we've got here, I've ordered them in order of most views. So I think you mentioned before this video here, whilst you've got 3,500 views on here on LinkedIn, I think you had over 100,000 views of this video.
Yeah, well over 100,000 views on that particular video. And it's a really simple video as well. It just talks about how someone's application looks like when they apply via Indeed, because I was getting very annoyed with the quality of what it was coming from Indeed. So I thought I'd investigate. And this is what this video talks about. It sucked in so many people to look at it. And I was quite blown away. The response was phenomenal.
So what were the comments like on LinkedIn to that?
The vast majority of recruiters, first of all, that commented on it, didn't even realize that that's what, start again. The candidates didn't realize that was going on. The recruiters were then voicing their opinion in there, saying, this is really starting to really hack us off, because there's lots of information missing. And people started realizing that Indeed wasn't doing good for them from that.
Yeah. So I've got that video just here, and let's make it just a little bit larger on screen. I won't play the whole video, but essentially what you're doing is going through the process of.
Yeah, that's it. So I mean, the first part of this is like a pretend. It's not a real CV. It's a pretend CV I created to upload into Indeed to then show you what the CV looks like. And then what I then do is talk through the Indeed profile, because everyone's starting to use Indeed more. So talk through the Indeed profile and where to fill out stuff and what the stuff looks like. So that's what the CV looks like when you put it through Indeed. And certain things were missing. Now, in that version there, you can see that the email address is on there. But then once you get it as a recruiter, that email address is taken off, and an Indeed email address that sometimes or doesn't work. And I was just making people aware of it. So there's things they can do then to make the CV look better, and you can actually put links on it and stuff like that. So that's why I went through it. And it was very successful. And of it, I was going to say, people watched it for a good 75-80% of the video, which I found quite fascinating as well.
So that's a really important part to talk about. When you're making a video that is, let's see, this one is 5.5 minutes.
Yes.
When you're making and that's quite a long time actually. But when you make a video like that, then knowing about how long people are watching the video for, when they fall off. Sometimes in the stats I've seen charts, certainly on stats for a video my job, where you'll see the chart starts with, say you started with 100 people watching, and then it drops to 20 in the middle, and then it goes back up to 80. And the reason for that is that people often skip chunks in the middle. So it's great to know exactly how those are working. I'm just going through this video a bit more here. But yeah, on the stats for any video that you do, then knowing what part of the video is getting attention and working for candidates. So for making this video, this was a pretty straightforward screen record.
That's right.
Relatively unusual for most of the videos that you do.
That's it. And it was a spare of the moment thing, because it was something I just thought I'd have a go. I called the long videos that I do documentaries, because they're little epics and they're all right, because they're about 4 or 5 minutes long. But what I'm doing at the moment, I'm going through a process of taking my favorite ones, snipping them down to 30, 40, 50 seconds, and then rebranding them basically like that as well.
So in terms of a look, there's obviously a regular look and feel. Well, first of all, your face is on most of these, so we know it's you. You've got the title on the thumbnail in nice chunky letters, so whoever's just scanning through, they know exactly, the theme of what you're going to be talking about. Psychological interview techniques. Should you leave a job to find a job? These are a lot of questions that even when you look on employment advice websites, these things are just not really addressed or are addressed in detail, and certainly not addressed from a recruiter's perspective, because and that would be really valuable to candidates. They want to know how they're being perceived, how their CV is being handled, what they're being asked to do, and why. So when someone is asked to fill in a form, they're often not told why and what's going to happen with that information.
This is it.
So given that kind of value to candidates is great. And what you've done is you've established a theme through all of these.
As much as I tried. And then the latest stuff that I've been doing is it might be right at the bottom, I'm not too sure if it's come up yet, but the latest stuff I've been doing is 1-minute short videos on how something works in the engineering world as well. And the purpose behind that was to engage with more people. Is it there? Yeah, there we go. There's some of them. Is to engage more people into the content as well. So people that have that kind of well, there's a couple of reasons actually behind it. So people have that passion interest in engineering, so they get to understand a little bit about how an engine works or how a plane flies. But also demonstrate my knowledge in the engineering world as well, because these things are not just from the fact that I used to work in engineering, but I still love engineering as well, and I still try to keep up to date with modern engineering stuff.
So my favorite in these, and obviously it only takes a minute to watch, but how an aircraft flies in less than a minute. And it's brilliant. It's great. It's the sort of thing that you think, oh, I now know more than I did before, and it's almost in the blinking of an eye. So bite-sized chunks of information.
Yeah, that's one of my biggest learns since doing my little epic documentary videos that I try to do, is break it down for people, and people will come and follow you afterwards and engage in the rest of your stuff afterwards off the back of that.
So I was speaking with a company just recently, and they'd made a video for themselves, and they were asking my opinion on this video. I'll show you here. I've got it just here. I'll turn the volume down because it's almost all in Dutch. But they'd recorded this. Got a nice drone shot, which is nice to do. They've got some nice titles coming up on screen, and the camera shots are fairly smooth, one clip to the other, and it's really, all about, working in this organization. It's an employer branding video.
I like that. Yeah.
And one of the techniques the guy does is he talks to an imaginary interviewer. So he's looking to the side of the camera.
Yeah.
It's a technique that you can use that gives just that more feel that you're speaking with a news reporter or an interviewer.
That's it. It's a good one. I've tried it. I filmed myself trying to do it a few times. I just look strange from my perspective, so I never went down that route. But yeah, there's loads of little techniques to do to make yourself and deeper than what it is. Yeah,
and this was literally filmed on a mobile phone and just some nice editing with a narrative running throughout that shows what they're talking about.
Yeah. I think you touched upon something there. Editing is important as well.
So what do you use for your editing? If you're recording on inexpensive smartphones, what do you use for the editing process?
So at the beginning, I used to use, because it's on Android, Power Director that was on the Android phone itself. And I think it costs like about $5 or something to get if you were to buy it today. There's also another one called Viva Video as well, which is really good if you want to do some snazzy videos, but buy it. Don't use the free version of it, which again, it's only a couple of quid to buy them.
Yeah.
Then off the back of that, I thought, right, I'm starting to get more and more into this. So I thought I'd go and purchase the software. So I use Power Director, which is pretty good. It does the job, to be honest with you. You don't need to do more than that. And then it's a case of then just learning how to edit and just practice. And as your videos evolve, you start evolving with the editing.
Yeah, so some of these tools, you would want, or you would need to be really quite enthusiastic, and it is a sharp learning curve. I mean, without running an advert as such, the app that we have, we try and make things as intuitive as possible and as simple as possible, so that you can get a really finish without having to be knowledgeable in all those areas. But again, the focus is on the content, how it's going to look at the end of the day, and how people are going to perceive the content that you're showing.
That's it. That's exactly it. And like you say, with some of the editing software out there, you need to be a bit of a geek with editing software if you're going to use that. So it's good to use something really easy, something simple to use. You can just get something done in, film it in 5 and get it out in 10.
Fantastic. So on the interview section, we've kind of come to the end. I think actually was there another video that we were going to show?
Yeah, sure. So it was my video of the week, wasn't it?
Video of the week. Let's go to the. If we had Harry Hill here, we would say it's the video of the week. So your video of the week. I'm just going to open this here, and actually I've got it open over here. It's on LinkedIn. If I can find the give me just 2 seconds. I'll open this here. So Scott Millward, you were saying?
Yeah, it's a brilliantly put together video. I think it's one of his first videos as well, which is quite surprising. Totally stunned me. I thought it was brilliant, engaged you straight away from the cuff, and it's simple, and it's, in my opinion, quite elegant. There you go, half your messages in there.
Yeah, you don't want to see all of these. There's Mark Hopkins.
Yeah.
So if I make this a bit larger, full screen.
Ask yourself who you are as a business. So this means
So first of all, I would say the lighting's pretty dark. Here.
Yeah, I think the screen's a bit dark in here. Yeah.
So what's the key thing about this video that really appealed to you?
It was just the engagement of it, because he was, if you go back to the beginning of it, he started playing a little ukulele, which I thought was quite interesting. But what he's trying to do is just distract you from the fact that he's trying to make it a little entertaining to draw you in. And he's distract you from the fact he's going to give you like lots of information. So he wants to make it fun. So there's the start with that, and you've got your ukulele, and that's when it starts with these little wobbly heads as well. So he's not just making it engaging, but really, really engaging and fun. And then he talks seriously, and then with his facial expressions as well. So he's, to me, he's quite a natural on the camera, first of all, but also he's done some little tricks, which I don't know if he's purposely done them. We'll have to have a chat with Scott about that. But no, he's done some little tricks, quick, simple, easy, and anyone can do these little tricks.
Yeah. Cool to do. So the upshot at the end of the video.
Yes.
More Scott Millward coming soon. So a channel that you would recommend people viewing and
definitely. It's fun. It's fun. It's engaging, and that's the important part of what you got to do with your videos.
Yeah. Fantastic. No, I was looking at some of your other videos earlier on. I would definitely recommend the Who We Are and 5 things to get off your CV.
Yes.
A personal gripe of mine, things that you just don't need to have on there. Like, for example, your driving license number and your next of kin.
I don't get that either. Yeah. and my favorite is when they start talking about their wife and kids and what they like as well.
So very serious subject, and it might annoy some people, but that's all right. I always used to squirm a little when people would put their religion on a CV, because they're almost presuming that the person watching or reading the CV is going to look favorably on whichever religion they are. You know, if you say I'm a devout Christian, you're essentially hoping that the other person reading it is going to also be a devout Christian. It does you a favor. It's unnecessary, and you really shouldn't do it.
Debbie is saying marital status. She needs to know that, by the way. That's fair. Is he single? I'm sorry, Jeb, you have to do that.
You're taken though, aren't you, Mark?
I am. I'm married to the Lee and Thomas Lee.
Just to settle that, in case anyone was wondering. While I'm sharing my screen, I'm going to show, because we're going on to our tech tips and news of the week. I can tell you, and the audience out there, CV Library now accept videos for job adverts, which is a huge step forward. You still have to provide them with the video, and they'll manually put it into your job advert. But I think it costs an extra $200 a month on top of whatever you pay CV Library. But you can then add as many videos to your job adverts as you have job adverts. And the more of this we see, the better. We already know that you can do this on Monster with Monster Studios, and now on CV Library. How long before we see it on all of the major job boards? That'd be fantastic.
Yeah, definitely.
If I'm on a mission to do anything, it's to make every job advert a video job advert.
Yeah. No, I don't think everyone's very good at doing it, but yeah, no, I get what you're saying.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're running a bit over time, Mark. Before we finish, do you have any tech tips of the week? What are your top tips for making great video content?
I think the top three, then, let's do top three, is use a decent camera phone. Don't use a crap one. Stabilize it. Use a tripod if you can, or something to hold it, something to put it somewhere safe. But then you just rev yourself up, and what I always try to do before, it's me plus 20%. So I just and be expressive to the camera, and it comes across normal.
Are you usually standing up when you're recording?
Yeah, always stand up. Try not to sit. I've done some sitting down ones. I don't seem to be full of energy like I used to. So I went back to standing up and doing them with a blank screen behind me as well.
I shared my gadget list with you last week. Was there anything not on there that you think should have been on?
I think it was quite conclusive, actually, everything that you put on there. You could go crazy. You could spend a load of money on gadgets, or you could go down Poundland and get a couple of things, which do a fair job, to be fair. It's really dependent on your budget, what you want to produce, and how often you want to produce it. So if you're going to produce it every week, go and spend some money on it.
I'll show you something that I got this week that was literally £3 on Amazon.
That's bloody awesome.
I saw it being advertised on Facebook, and I thought someone must be selling this on Amazon Marketplace. So £3 or something, and what you do is you get your phone, stick it on there, and you can stick this onto your window. I suppose you could maybe stick it on a forehead.
I was going to say, try your forehead.
Actually, it's close. But and I don't warranty this. If you put this up and it drops your £1,000 phone that smashes, it's not on me. So be careful. Make sure it's in a good case. But it's a great way of having your phone and being able to angle it wherever you want to get the right angle to film yourself. So if you were sticking that to a window to get the benefit of natural light, then I think that's great. So that's that sort of tool. Pennies and pounds without going crazy on the spends, and all of these little things add to the quality of your finished product. Having a solid platform, decent light, and a nice microphone.
A microphone. Yeah, you got to have a microphone. Where's mine gone? Yeah, just get a little larval microphone like that. Pick them up. 10, 15 quid is a really good ones for your iPhone.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, on that note, Mark, I'm going to say thank you very much for joining us this afternoon. You have been stellar. I have to say, I think you've probably been the best guest we've had so far. No offense to everyone who's come before, but
I'll pay you later.
Maybe next week's guest is going to be better. Next week's guest, I'm hoping, I haven't got it confirmed yet, but I'm hoping is going to be Jenny Singh from Simply Jobs Group. Simply Jobs Board Group have a whole range of different niche job boards, and they've been recently recording videos 10 to the dozen and going through that learning process of what to do, how to do it, and how to plan for all the content they want to have. So that's going to be really interesting with Jenny next week. If we can get her on, fingers crossed. Until then, thanks for joining us. Thanks everyone who's been chatting on the sidebar. Thanks everyone who's on a guest, and everyone who's watching on replay. We know that we get maybe 5 to 10 times the number of people watch the replay videos, so that's fantastic. And everyone on Facebook as well. So until then, signing off. Great to see you, Mark, and hope to see everyone next week. Thanks very much.
Take care, guys.
Bye bye.